This is a Channel 2 special report. The amazing and true, untold, behind-the-scenes Hollywood story of the elusive and often mysterious William Herbert Becker. No, wait, that's the wrong one. Or is it? That's Herbert William. William Herbert Becker, the firstborn son of Catherine DeMarty and Herbert William Becker, was born on February 4th, 1952. And as the story goes, he should have been a junior. Even the mysterious mix-up of identities seems all too suspicious. Bill's father was born during the Herbert Hoover administration, and when his mother told the nurse to pick a middle name, the nurse made a mistake and put Herbert as his first name. So even long before Bill was born, there was a government conspiracy involved. The mystery of the first name. The rest of Bill's life reads like a mad pulp fiction novel, filled with strange turns and even stranger mysteries. So prepare yourself for a trip into the twilight zone of Bill Becker's world. Step into the outer limits of reality. Is this the story of a real live spy filled with top secret espionage? Or just the insane ramblings of a modern day Walter Mitty? Who really knows what lurks in the mind of this seemingly simple, mild-mannered delivery man? Is he a dishwasher or a double agent? Is he a cyborg of the future? Is he a madman or a genius? Or just a lost comedian on Skid Row? Join us as we unravel the wild and uncharted tale that is Bill Becker, or should I say, Junior. As the story goes, Bill started out just like millions of normal young men, a baby boomer, born into the 50s, with the ideal Leave It to Beaver life. Who could foresee that this happy-go-lucky life would take so many twists and turns? It was the perfect family, an ideal mix of German and Italian, growing up in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, a true picture of Americana. His life was a Norman Rockwell painting of Main Street, USA. Who knew the canvas of this picture-perfect painting would eventually become a jagged Picasso, where the lines of reality would crisscross and blur into madness and fantasy. Bill was the first of 9 children. And like all young boys of the 50s, Bill's world was filled with television images. And like a kid, he dreamed of a world much like those living on the boob tube, and he and his brother Bob would play cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, and pretend to be army men, astronauts, and American heroes, and more. And of course, they emulated and imitated their TV icons. Growing up with such a loving and ideal home life was the all-American dream come true for Father and Mother Becker. And Bill was raised with everything a boy of the 50s could want. Perfect family, perfect life, perfect world. So how could things have gone so terribly wrong? And so the ideal life was not meant to last forever. Somehow, Bill got on the wrong track and hung around with the wrong people, stealing cars, smoking pot, and getting arrested by the cops one too many times. Unfortunately for Bill, he was always in the wrong place at the wrong time. As the story goes, he was once picked up by some friends for a joyride. When the cops pulled them over, his friends made a run for it, but Bill had no clue as to why his buddies took off. He soon found out the car was stolen. Eventually, Bill was given a choice: jail time or time in the military. And so off to Vietnam Bill went.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Thrilled to be using the same kind of machine guns as the toy versions he used to play with as a kid, Bill took to the war like a fish to water. And so, his long, elusive, and mysterious relationship with Uncle Sam began. Of course, there are some things you can never change, and certain vices continued with Bill during his stay in Vietnam. Eventually, Bill would walk away from Vietnam with a load of strange yet funny stories of his adventures. Always a comedian, Bill would add his twisted spin on them, like the time he stepped on a landmine and lived to tell about it. It should be noted here that this could be the start of Bill's physical peculiarities. Who knows just how much damage Bill sustained in Nam? Physical, mental, unimaginable, and imagined. And what parts of his body have been reconstructed? After the war ended and America lost, which was a complete surprise to Bill, as he has always said he thought they were winning, Bill was soon on his way home, back to the States. His time and contact with the U.S. government was over. Or was it? Some say he's still part of continuing covert operations. Who knows? After all, he has been sworn to secrecy. And just what kind of secret spy training has he been through? We could tell you, but then we'd have to kill you. Maybe we can just allude to it. Bill came home like a sleeper. He returned to a life of ordinary, peaceful, everyday living, joining his family and friends as if nothing changed. The only difference was that Bill was no longer the delinquent teen, but now a serious, law-abiding adult. One of the hobbies that Bill was fond of was martial arts, and imitating one of his boyhood heroes, Bill set out to fine-tune his talents. He had studied as a child along with his brothers. In fact, his mother started him at a very early age. Bill trained with some of the masters and in time perfected his skills as a master ninja, karate, kung fu, judo artist, and perhaps a killer. Even the most unconventional martial arts masters had a hand in shaping his skills. His world was filled with training, and he eventually taught his pets to fight as well. He soon earned his degrees and eventually became a martial arts trainer himself. He won many tournaments with some of the fiercest and most famous competitors. In fact, he became so good that some of the evil martial artists in the world feared he might become a threat. A popular movie was based on this concept. And of course, any romance was dealt with a similar surprise, as Bill likes his women skilled. But apparently, marriage was not in the cards for Bill. Perhaps it was because he was secretly married to Uncle Sam, or the U.S. government. But we will get to that in time. Meanwhile, as Bill studied his martial arts, he also had many jobs in his life. One of his jobs was as a dishwasher for a restaurant named Elaine's. Dishwashing was a skill he had learned as a small child. At the restaurant, he would blend into the workforce, yet all the while secretly dreaming of a more wild and dangerous life of adventure. He even practiced skills while doing dishes at home. When a plate was too tough to clean, he would practice his marksmanship and assassinate it. He also worked for the family. Not that family. The family-owned Domino's Pizza Shop. As his father would often say, "We are a non-profit business." It wasn't meant to be, but he actually had cards printed with that saying. So Bill delivered pizzas. Some say it was just a job, but other informants say it was part of a top-secret transference of information. Dropping off spy film and notes with each order of deep dish pepperoni and Italian sausages. Each ingredient was code for some Cold War message. God only knows what anchovies stood for. Some even say Bill may have saved us from a possible nuclear disaster. Bill also worked at the Ford factory for a while. There, he learned a lot of mechanical skills. He soon became a model employee, delving deep into his work. He even helped organize a union. There was talk about an accident online where he lost his hands, but as we all know, he still has them. Or, perhaps, the government replaced them with robot hands. While at the car factory, Bill dreamed of creating the coolest cars, like the DeLorean. In fact, he wanted to someday open the Becker factory with the handmade car of the future, or should we say, robot handmade. But the managers didn't like his ideas, so eventually, the car companies closed down and Bill left. Or as this photo shows, Bill left for more mysterious reasons. Perhaps they should have listened to Bill. This brings us to the subject of Bill's connection to the world of weapons, guns, and espionage. there is no definitive proof that Bill was a double agent or spy. Bill's love and fascination with guns was somewhat borderline, unnatural, and unnerving. In fact, we can't say for sure if Bill was really part of the Secret Service. We do have photos that tell a tale of their own. Bill was secretly working as a courier. Like the pizza delivery service, he was once again delivering top secret information to high-risk players. In fact, some of these photos show he was in key places at key moments prior to the fall of the USSR. We see him here with Mikhail Gorbachev, and here with Vladimir Putin, and here with Dmitry Medvedev. In fact, he was seen all over Russia. He began to blend in with the Russian military. We believe, while working as a secret double agent, Bill soon became a master of disguises. Here we see him as the Indian Prime Minister Prefab Pupo Tojam, Russian aristocrat Musky Pupovich, and for a while he disguised himself as the famous Russian dancer Rudolf Borovansky of the Kirov Ballet. He was spotted in China, in Japan, all around the world. He was even seen mixing with the royal family. And when back in the States, he was spotted at the Playboy Mansion. For a while, he worked as a dishwasher at Yesterday's restaurant, where he blended in as one of the friendly, happy-go-lucky regular employees. But how did he go from Russia to China and back to the States so fast if he had to be at work on time? Was he rocketing and jetpacking around the world to get to and from wherever he needed to be? Saving the world one minute and then gambling in Monte Carlo the next. And no one would ever know what Bill was thinking because he was a skilled card player and always had the most undetectable poker face. Was Bill leading a double life, secretly washing dishes during the day and going on top secret missions at night? Or did he have a clone, or a double, or a twin, or a doppelganger? Whoever this Bill was, he had become a master of disguises. As seen in the following photos, he was able to blend in with the crowd, or even the landscape. He would hide in plain sight and no one would suspect. This way, he could listen in on top secret conversations. He even disguised himself as male once. Unfortunately, he was so good, he got mailed. And of course, Bill was a skilled motorcyclist. Being the danger and thrill seeker that he was, there were, of course, many accidents. Here we see Bill sailing through the air after a motorcycle crash, one of many. And as Bill sailed through the sky, just what was going through his mind? Did he imagine he was a bird? Or perhaps flying through the sky like Superman on some rescue mission? Did he imagine he was like Tarzan flying on a vine through the trees, and the vine was cut? Maybe he fantasized that he was like a cliff diver doing a perfect dive, or an Olympic athlete going for the gold. Maybe he pretended he was like Icarus, who flew too close to the sun with wings of wax, or Evel Knievel, doing one of his many stunts gone wrong. Maybe he imagined he was a flying trapeze artist. And perhaps he even took it further and dreamed he was part of a high-flying trapeze artist family, working for the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. Or even being the human cannonball might have come to mind. Or maybe he saw himself as a dancer flying about, or even as a little girl jumping rope. Did he think for a split second that perhaps he was a flying machine inventor, like in the time of the Wright brothers, and his plane was destined to fail? And he would soon know what all those others who tried to fly and failed had known, like just how hard the ground really was? Whatever he imagined at those moments in time as he flew through the air, he knew there was one common result. He would have to land at some time. And land he did. And so Bill spent many long hours in the hospital being rebuilt. They can rebuild him. They can make him better. They can spend millions of dollars rebuilding their double agent spy. So how much of Bill is really Bill? Is he the stuff that science fiction is made of? We all know he has pins in his leg. But what else is in there? What else is inside him that we don't know about? Who knows how many stories and movies are based on his real-life adventures? Maybe we'll never know. This has been a Channel 2 special report